Ever feel like you have a committee in your head and they can't agree on anything?
Absolutely.
Like one minute you're all gung-ho, and the next you're drowning in doubts.
Yeah.
Well, today we're diving into a system that helps make sense of that inner circus. Internal family systems, or IFS.
It's such a cool way of looking at it. Like, imagine your mind not as one single you, but more like different parts, all with their own personalities and quirks.
Okay, so instead of one me, there's a whole crew running the show. Who are these characters?
Well, we've got the managers, for one, always on top of things, right? Like super organized, making sure you don't miss a beat, think to-do lists and calendars.
Gotcha. So my inner control freak is a manager. And what happens when they clash with the more spontaneous parts of ourselves?
Right, well, that's where the firefighters come in. Their whole thing is like putting out emotional fires. They jump in when things get intense, sometimes a little too quickly, you know?
So that explains those impulse decisions we later regret.
Exactly. And then there are the exiles. These are like the parts of us that are hurting, carrying old wounds and insecurities.
The stuff we try to bury deep down.
Yeah. And they can be tricky because they often show up in ways that sabotage us, like that nagging self-doubt that pops up at the worst possible time. That could be an exile trying to get your attention.
Wow. Okay, so we've got managers, firefighters, and exiles, all these different parts trying to protect us in their own way, right?
Exactly. And the thing is, none of them are bad, even if they cause us trouble sometimes.
It's all about understanding them, which is where our deep dive source material comes in.
Right. We're looking at this blog post called 50 Journal Prompts to Exercise Internal Family Systems, IFS, by Lestallion.
Journaling. Interesting. So instead of just letting these parts duke it out in our heads, we give them a space to, like, speak their minds.
Exactly. It's like opening up a dialogue with them.
So these journal prompts, they're like conversation starters for our inner crew.
Exactly. Like instead of just getting frustrated with that part of you that's like a total neat freak, you can use a prompt to figure out why they're so obsessed with order.
Okay, so instead of, get a grip, it's more like, hey, what's up with all the sticky notes?
Right. For example, one prompt for the managers is, what is your manager part most afraid of? And that can be super insightful, you know, because it helps you understand where they're coming from.
So maybe they're not just being bossy for the heck of it. Maybe there's like a fear of failure or something driving them.
Exactly. And once you understand that fear, it's way easier to work with it, you know, instead of just fighting against it.
It's like they say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Or in this case, the fear behind my annoying habit is, well, something to understand. What about those firefighters? Any prompts that can help us tame those flames?
Oh, yeah, for sure. One that's really good is what would happen if you didn't react right away? Because, like, sometimes those firefighters can be a little too quick on the draw. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like sending that angry text and then immediately regretting it.
Totally. But with this prompt, you're basically encouraging those firefighters to take a breath, to consider other options besides just, like, dousing everything in fire extinguisher foam.
It's like giving ourselves a timeout. Before we say or do something, we'll regret. So we're not suppressing those impulses, just like redirecting them a little.
Exactly. And that can make a huge difference in how we respond to, like, stressful situations or strong emotions. Now, for the exiles, it seems like we need a different approach, right? Like something a little gentler.
Yeah, those are the parts of us that are probably carrying a lot of pain.
Right. So a good prompt for the exiles might be something like, if this exiled part could share its story, what would it say?
Oh, wow, that's powerful. It's like giving those wounded parts a voice, letting them know it's safe to come out of hiding.
Exactly. And, you know, the amazing thing about IFS is that it encourages us to approach those parts of ourselves with curiosity and compassion, not judgment.
So we're not trying to get rid of those parts just to make friends with them.
Exactly. And as we start to understand those parts better, we can actually start to heal those old wounds and integrate them into our lives in a healthier way.
It's like we're becoming a more whole, integrated version of ourselves.
Yeah.
But with all these different parts, is there even such a thing as a true self in the IFS model?
That's such a good question, and the answer is yes. IFS actually talks about the self, which is different from all the parts. It's like the core of who we are, calm, compassionate, and deeply connected.
It's like beneath all those voices, there's this deeper, wiser part of us that's always there.
Yeah. And the more we can connect with that self, the more we can start to live from that place of wisdom and compassion.
So it's not about like silencing those other parts, but more about letting this wiser self take the lead.
Exactly. It's called self-leadership. Like, imagine you have a big decision to make. Instead of just reacting from fear or anxiety, you pause. You check in with yourself.
Got it.
You listen to those parts, the manager's need for control, the firefighter's urge to fix everything, but you don't let them run the show.
You're taking their input, but making a choice from that calmer, more centered place.
Exactly. You're responding, not just reacting. And that can be a game changer in how we navigate relationships, work, all of it.
It's like we're finally in the driver's seat,
Yeah,
not just along for the ride.
totally. It's so empowering.
This has been amazing.
Oh.
So as we wrap up, what are some key takeaways our listeners can, take home and start using today?
Well, first off, remember, you are not your parts. We've all got them, those managers, firefighters, exiles, but they don't define us. The key is to get to know them, listen to them with compassion, and then make choices from that place of self, that calm, connected core of who we really are.
And this Lestallion blog post, with its journaling prompts, that's a great place to start.
Totally. It's like a roadmap to your own inner world.
So to all our listeners, if this resonated, grab a journal, get curious about those parts of yourselves, and see what you discover. Until next time.